All right, good evening, everybody. This is our August 6th pre-agenda meeting for the Town of Spencer Board of Aldermen. We are called to order, and we will begin with an invocation. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together today. We thank you for being able to serve this great town. We thank you for all that live here, that work here, that do business here. And we thank you for the town staff that we have and how tirelessly they work for the betterment and good of our community. We thank you for those board members that sit beside me. Lord, ask that you be with us all, give us wisdom and discernment as we plan our agenda for next Tuesday's regular meeting. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a few public hearings this evening, so I'm going to invite Mr. Blunt forward, and he can give us an overview of the two public hearings that we're going to have.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. The first we will consider tonight is this one right here, the 850 Hackett Street annexation. I'll back up. This is probably better known to you as the Fisher Lamb site. We've been talking about it since 2022. And I'll take you through a few slides to show you the property and what its proposed use might be and the reason for the annexation. This is approximately a 98-acre site north side of Hackett Street near Innispec. It is part of the North Carolina Finishing Company Industrial Park development. It was previously a farm and a home site, and the house has been removed at this time. The developer is requesting annexation so they can work to connect to municipal water and sewer lines. It is currently zoned correctly for the proposed use. It's zoned for industrial, IND. This is the site located north of Hackett Street, east of the railroads, west of I-85. A little closer view of it, you can see that from this perspective, you can see Innispec very clearly to the southeast of this site. The solar farm on the other side of US Highway 29 to the west. The property northeast of this, parcel 048006, is actually the North Carolina Finishing Company site. That's where it connects. This slide will show you the areas that are currently part of the town of Spencer, and that this will fill in a gap that's been there for a while. This is a survey map turned 90 degrees to the right, so it's a little bit confusing. The railroad lines are at the top of that drawing. And this will show you what at least a conceptual drawing of what the proposed site plan might be. The portion that you're looking at to annex is in blue. The rest of it north of that has already been annexed into the town of Spencer. And the Innispec property going south has already been annexed into the town of Spencer. Anytime we do an annexation, we look at the cost-benefit analysis for industrial or commercial projects. It's a fairly simple calculation because it's basically just fire protection and police protection. In talking to our fire chief and police chief, there is no anticipated need to increase staffing for this particular annexation. I'll be talking to you more about future annexations at a future meeting that might be time to think about increased cost. The benefits obviously are in the tax base that is created by the potential industrial development on this site. That gives you a calculation showing the possible increase in tax base and the related increase in tax revenue. Obviously, with an industrial development of this type, there are also going to be jobs created, but there's no way at this time to predict how many jobs there will be. Very simple annexation question. I'll be glad to answer any questions before you open your public hearing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Court, any questions at this point?
Is any of this area in the floodplain area? I know it's a creek going through there.
The site itself that we're annexing, I do not believe has any floodplain. There is a creek that runs, you can see it in that site.
Yeah.
To the creek itself would be a floodplain, but it's fairly
My
narrow
understanding,
channel.
there's some wetlands between the two sites up there. There are some wetlands in that area, but obviously they would be avoiding those for
They
construction.
would protect it for environmental.
Steve, I think he may, maybe want to share any.
Josh Dry is here with Samet, and he has signed up to speak at the public hearing, so he'll be glad to answer any specific questions you have.
This way?
Yes, I understand that there's a $750,000 North Carolina Railroad improvement grant. The infrastructure looks like $1,750,000. Is Samet going to take care of that?
We are working with Samet to locate some additional funds to help them with that project, and we will be coming back to you with some of that at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Blunt, the other question I have is we are looking at lots of industrial growth about to happen, which is wonderful. But as we look at these annexations, I know we've been generally when we're talking about these industrial sites, the cost to serve is minimal, but there is a cumulative cost to serve that we need to be taking into account. And so I think it would be great if you could work with our police and fire to begin to understand if and when all of these potential projects happen, there will be an impact on staffing needs, and it'd be good to know that now as opposed to down the road.
We had an occasion this past week. These are pretty easy to recommend because the tax revenue is much greater than any incremental cost you will have. But we actually had a person come in with a single house where his well was failing and wanted to connect to the water line. And that put us in sort of a pickle. Normally we would ask him to be annexed, but the cost of being annexed as far as property tax to that one person would be more than he wanted to pay. And the cost of us providing services to an individual property would be much higher than the revenue we would get back. That has motivated me to draft a memo, a long memo, that I will present to you in the near future. But the thing we have to think about is that if you could snap your fingers today and all this takes place at one time, you would probably need a new garbage truck, a new satellite fire station, et cetera, things with big price tags on. And we need to start thinking about those so we can build up the revenue over time and not be surprised about them when they hit us in the future.
Right.
So that'll be coming to you probably at your next meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we will begin the public hearing then. So this is a public hearing for the proposed annexation of parcel 049003 located at about 850 Hackett Street. And with that, we have opened the public hearing. We do have one individual signed up to speak, and that is Mr. Josh Dry from Samet. If you will, for the record, state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes to speak. We do have a timer, so you can keep track of everything there, and we appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Josh Dry. I'm Senior Development Manager with Samet Corporation out of Greensboro. Offices at 309 Gillimore Dairy Road in Greensboro. Do not have any comments. Just wanted to make myself available for any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Board, at this point, since we have a few minutes, are there any questions you have of the developer regarding this project?
I'm curious, do you have any prospective buyers for these different buildings that you
Not currently. We'll have to go through the process of designing, permitting, and constructing all the necessary utilities in order to make that happen. Not to say that we don't put this in front of various groups along the way. And some of those larger projects, could bring in some funding to help support that infrastructure as well.
Okay, thank you.
Can you talk briefly about some of the preliminary infrastructure that would be needed for the site and obviously the others?
Yes, obviously there's water and sewer. Both would probably come in my preliminary discussions with Salisbury Renton Utilities. It would come from the south along the Long Ferry Road. That is their desired route for us to bring those utilities, and it's probably the path of least resistance. And there would be some sort of roadway running up through the Innospec property, which there have been discussions for several years about that opportunity. And so that roadway would provide a route for the water and sewer. Gas, there's a major gas line that serves the gas plant across the way to our north. And then there's various Duke Power transmission and distribution lines in the area.
Board, other questions?
The fact that there's railroad access, I guess that's an important part of the plan.
It is desirable, yes.
And it's going to be light industrial? Is that what I understood?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's very common. We do this all across the state and multiple other states. Currently we build buildings that are probably 100 to 200,000 square feet, and they're usually multi-tenant in nature to support tenants down to, say, 20,000 square feet.
All right.
Any questions?
I think that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Appreciate it.
All right. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on this public hearing? Okay. If not, is there a motion to close the public hearing from the board?
So,
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sechrist. All in favor? All right. All opposed? All right. And that public hearing is closed. We will now move to our next public hearing. Mr. Blunt.
Mayor, members of the board, the second annexation before you tonight is for parcels 044, 077, and 019 on Lincoln Avenue. That little yellow dot right in the middle of that map is the two lots that are being proposed for annexation. And as mentioned before, we would have a little heartburn about bringing just two lots to you and say, hey, this is outside of our municipal boundary. We want you to annex this. But as you get in closer and see where these lots are located, and remember that last year, skip through this just a little bit, you annexed 10 lots previously on Lincoln Avenue that were originally proposed as single-family homes that are now being proposed as duplexes. It just makes sense that since you annex those 10 lots and we're going to provide services to those 10 lots, that it's not going to cost us any more to add 2 more lots. And those will also be duplexes. So I'll back up. That is actually the lot that's been cleared for the 2 duplexes. As you can see, there is water available. There's a fire hydrant at the corner of the property. This is a little closer, showing the proximity to the church that's located on Hollywood Drive. And this was the original plat. I thought you might like to see that. Forget what the date was, 1903, there it is. So this has been in the works for a long time. When it was planned, obviously, Lincoln Avenue was built and a few of the lots were developed. None of the crossroads were built, and we do have a lot of interest from other developers about finishing out some of those crossroads and actually building houses on those other lots. So we foresee this as an area that over time you will be asked to annex a few more of these lots into the municipal boundaries. That shows you more clearly where the other lots are located down at the end. Water is coming from the eastern side, the Hollywood Drive side. The sewer actually runs out to the west to an outfall down to Grants Creek. So sewer is fairly easy. The holdup on those first 10 lots is that the water line that would run in Lincoln Avenue was not big enough to carry those. They are working with Salisbury Rolling Utilities now to determine a plan to increase the size of the water mains to feed those 10 lots. Since the 2 lots proposed are closer to the fire hydrant, the line is actually large enough for them to go ahead and get started building these 2. So he is actively working on getting those built. We suggest that you approve the annexation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, are there questions on this proposed annexation?
thought it was interesting that the development time of this plan was 1903 or 1905,
1903.
about the same time that Southern Railway was mapping things for the town. Is there any connection at all?
I was reading after you checked up on my dates for the town hall building construction. I was actually reading through some documents trying to find out when certain buildings were built. And I ran across a paragraph that explained the evolution of the town, starting out with the original downtown area and the very close in supporting residential structures. And if I remember correctly, the original residential area was designed for something like 125 houses. It wasn't much at all. But very quickly after that, once they started staffing up at the maintenance, many of these other outlying subdivisions were immediately platted out. So we have a lot of these old plats that go back into the early 1900s that followed development of the shops.
All right, other questions?
By the way, I still think I'm right on that date.
Okay. All right, we'll open the public hearing at this point. I currently do not have anybody signed up to speak on this public hearing. We will, if there's anybody here that wishes to speak, give them a moment. All right, hearing none, board, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sechrist, second by Ms. Sledge, all in favor. All right, all opposed? And that public hearing is closed. All right, board, we are going to move next to a presentation as an update on our group insurance renewal rates for 2026 and 2027.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. We were expecting Lee Snow to be here to do this, and I'm actually trying to get in touch with him because he's not here.
Okay.
So I'll say in general what we were wanting to do is provide a roadmap. We don't have great numbers, of course, quite yet because it's got to go through the process to get those. But we wanted to provide a roadmap for what's to come between now and December 1, when our current plan ends and our new plan will begin. So as soon as I am able to get in touch with Lee and find out whether he is still trying to get here or whether we need to reschedule for a different time, I'll let you know.
All right. Sounds good. Board, we will move on then with a review of our August 11th agenda for our regular meeting next Tuesday. And with that, do I have a volunteer to give the invocation on Tuesday?
I'll do it.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Stanley.
The shade, yeah.
Very good. All right, we will have an opportunity for additions and deletions to the agenda. I do know of one item that has been requested that was accidentally omitted that we do need to add on to the list, and I recommend we add it as item 8. And that is, we will have a representative from the field office in Charlotte from our North Carolina State Auditor. And he will be coming. They're doing a bunch of outreach around the state, just trying to meet with local municipalities. I had a chance to meet with him about a month or so ago, I guess. And we've invited him to come and just give an update on behalf of the auditor's office. And we will welcome him for some brief remarks and a presentation. And so if everybody's good with that, we should add that as item 8. Okay. All right. We will have at least one recognition or 2 recognitions from the fire department that we know of. So Chief Lanning has 2 that are listed. Are there any other recognitions that the board would like to make on Tuesday? Okay. If you think of anything between now and Tuesday, please let Anna and myself know.
Could I have just a moment, maybe Pam and I, about Northland Schools, because they'll be opening the very next day. So maybe we should recognize them right there at the beginning instead of talking about them at the end. You and I will talk about that today.
All right. All right. Anything else? Okay. We'll then have public comment and our consent agenda. currently, items on the consent agenda are our approval of our minutes from the 2 July meetings. As we go through this evening, we can consider if there's anything else that we want to include on that consent agenda. Item 8 will be the State Auditor Office presentation. We will then have a presentation from the Rowan Master Gardeners regarding a proposed pollinator garden at the Yadkin River Park Trailhead in memory of Gene McCoy. We will then also consider authorizing staff for the proposed restriping of Salisbury Avenue and U.S. Highway 29 from Jefferson Street out to the Yadkin River Bridge to add bike lanes and a center turn lane. I would recommend that be a regular agenda item so we can get a presentation from staff on that. Board okay with that?
Is that just a presentation, or are we going to vote?
We would be authorizing staff to move forward with that.
Okay.
Because DOT needs to have that answer because they are getting ready to finalize all the
I didn't
contracts
know if
for
the
that.
public was needed to make any comments about them.
To add a little context about this, of course, our last resurfacing on Highway 29, it was many years in the making. To get to that point, we were asked to participate in a cost share method for the cost of the design. We recently had the same thing happen with the project for that was resurfacing around Whitehead and such, where we had to participate in the cost of the design. The work that's done by DOT's contract, and we don't have to pay for the work, but the design cost is usually a $8,000 to $10,000-$12,000 expense to create that design for DOT to use. In this case, because the project is planned both within and outside of town limits, NCDOT is going to do the design themselves. We will have zero expense, and then they will include that in their bid documents when they bid out the resurfacing that is planned for next year. So that means it'll probably actually happen sometime in the next 2 years, the work. But that was good news to hear that it's actually essentially the request is continuing what we see here all the way to the river. But in this case, we would have zero expense for the design phase because DOT would do it all in-house.
And correct me if I'm wrong, being able to do this would cover part of what we were trying to cover under the ED 5861 connector.
Yes, it gives the bicycle accommodation all the way to the river. Leaves us with just the need to fill in for sidewalks.
Okay. All right. So public input would be the opportunities for during public comment on Tuesday night.
Okay. My comment was maybe we need to touch base with Sherwan since they're moving in that new building. That's okay with them. Okay. Sorry.
We questioned NCDOT about that there was some concern initially back when we approved this part of it that there would be too much industrial and business growth along that portion.
Right.
NCDOT has run their calculations on the use of the road and the traffic levels created by Sherwan, which they are aware of, and other planned development in that area. And they feel confident that the proposed bike lanes and a center turn lane will be more than adequate for the predicted traffic.
Okay. Just want to make sure they include it in the.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, we got to consider, right, is swing transport as well.
Yeah.
The reality though is it's going to be safer for those trucks because they're going to have a center turn lane.
Center turn lane, yeah.
Turn left.
But again, I think they need to have some kind of input into this thing.
And I've got your presentation ready, but if we keep talking about it, I won't need to make it.
Well, it could be that.
Sorry.
It might be that between now and Tuesday, Steve, that we are able to make some contact with a few of those entities up there just to explain what DOT has shared and see what their pulse is. But
The next item will be considering an ordinance to adopt the annexation for the property on Hackett Street that we discussed for the Fisher Lamb site. And then also item 11 would be considering an ordinance for the annexation of the parcels on Lincoln Avenue that we just had the hearing over. We will then consider adopting a project ordinance amendment to accept a significant donation from the Blanche and Julian Robertson Foundation, one from the Carolina Thread Trail, one from Duke Energy, and one for the Great Trail State Program grant. And this will all be for the Rocky Branch Loop Trail project in Stainback Forest. So I assume that Joe will be giving a presentation on Tuesday. Heather will? Okay.
Where's the money now?
Very good.
Well, I think it would be good to keep that as a regular agenda item to get an update on that, and it's good news to be able to share. And then the next item will be to consider adopting budget ordinance amendment 26-04.001. That's for the concert series sponsorships, and that's receipt of those grants from several sponsors to be able to host a summer concert series. Peter, are you envisioning that being a regular agenda item or consent?
Consent would be good. If you all feel motivated to adopt this one tonight, we can check it off and get some paperwork moving. But essentially, this is what we had previously talked about for the pilot music series, and it's we had talked about this with the sponsors prior to in that June time frame after the budget was. It was after the budget was adopted, but before we were in the new fiscal year, and so now that we're here, where we would like this budget amendment to incorporate that grant award into our budget, so we could use that for the upcoming concerts, and we're excited to get that going on starting 2 weeks from today with Destiny Stone returning.
Good. Do you need an approval tonight, or can it be on the consent agenda?
It can certainly be on consent.
Okay. All right, Board, I'd recommend that be on the consent agenda if you are all comfortable with that.
Will we have some sort of a place where scheduled events are like listed? I mean, I know we've got Miss Stone coming up, and then we have the Labor Day thing with the pageant, and then whatever's next and whatever's next. I mean, is there any place that we can have like a calendar of events for the public to be able to?
So yes, we do add them to our event website calendar as we get things locked in the program. We add them there. We have had, we have not published one of these this year where it's more of a succinct link graphic with a list of all the things, because it's kind of been fluid this year. Things have been evolving as the years gone on, but that is something that ideally, as we're able to get that projected out, for a chunk of time, we are working to get those incorporated in the newsletter as those are published. And the next newsletter that's going to come out here in the next several weeks is going to touch on the fall events. So I don't know if that answers your question, but we certainly are getting them updated through our website calendar.
Well, I know if you go onto the website and click on the date, that kind of tells you what that star is about. But I just wondered if there was a listing. So that's all.
And are we running those on our?
We are. Yes, that's true. We also are putting those types of things on the town sign as well. But looks like Anna's pulled up there is a listing version, I guess, of the calendar has got a listing of. I said Anna was doing it, but it's actually Mike. It's actually Mike doing it. So
Anna's doing it with her
mind. You were telepathically.
Wow. Let's control.
Yeah.
Magic wand. Yeah.
Good. All right. Board will then have our departmental reports, town manager report, an opportunity for the board to make comments, and then I do know there will be a need to go into executive session on Tuesday night, so we'll plan to do that. And that is our agenda. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda for Tuesday? Yes, ma'am.
I sent out a thing to several of you about East Spencer celebration on August the 29th.
Yes.
And they are wanting us perhaps they would like for Spencer to participate if we can.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a parade that starts at 10, and it's only going to last 20 or 30 minutes. It's just going to go from the town hall in East Spencer the kitty land, and they're trying to get entries and everything. And I had known that they were doing a big all day thing, but they would like for us to be represented in the parade. And they suggested, that we could, ride in a car, or we don't have to do a float or anything like that. At this, and I don't think there's an entry fee, but there is a form that needs to be filled out. So I guess what we need to decide is if we want to try to do that and support East Spencer and recognize them with this big celebration. And if we don't do that, then they've got things going on all day at Royal Giants Park where we could go and perhaps just mingle and all that.
Yeah, that day is an exciting day because it's in the morning. It's the 125th anniversary or celebration for East Spencer, and then in the afternoon it is for Landis. So
Yeah, I saw
it's
that.
a big day in Rowan County. I think it would be a great idea. I know they've asked if our mayor's group for the county will have a float in it, so we were planning to do that. But I think it'd be great if Spencer could as well.
Mayor, I don't know, and I'm looking towards Chief Lane. Has there been any conversation among fire departments about a truck entry or that sort of thing? Do you think that's one possibility that perhaps a truck from Spencer could participate?
I think it's the elected officials on the side are antique.
That was fun at Christmas.
Yeah.
On the antique truck. Yeah.
You were the one person, right?
There are seats. There are seats available. You don't have to climb up onto the hay bales if you don't want to, right? That's right.
I don't think I was offered that option. But I had a good time up there.
You get better visibility up
That
top.
is true.
Right? Saturday the 29th, is that correct?
Yes,
Saturday the 29th.
And you're
Yes, 10 a.m. Is that right?
Yeah, but they want you there at 8:30 in the morning
Right.
for the lineup.
Yeah.
Parades always want you there so early to make sure they get everybody. And I didn't know if that was going to be possible and how we needed to work it out logistically and who would work it out. I just need to let them know if we're interested. Let Mayor Mallett and this designee that got in touch with me.
So I think what we can do is we can coordinate with Chief Landing on the truck, but if anybody is interested from the board in riding on that, let us know, and then we'll complete the entry form. I think they want the entry forms by the 14th.
Yeah.
So in the next week, and so certainly let me know if you're interested.
Well,
and
let's do that now. Let's figure out who's interested now so we can get a confirmation from our board members.
I'll try to go that in the morning, but I'm not going down to the land.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like then we need to go ahead and submit for it, and then we can send out an email to everybody. Okay.
So would we meet here and ride in the truck over there, or?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I do too, because I think there's going to be limited parking at that town hall. So we would meet here probably then at maybe 8:15.
I would. Yeah, I mean, did they want folks there at what time?
8:30.
Yeah, I think meeting at 8:15 would certainly be. Yeah, it'll just take a couple minutes to get over there.
Chief, if you're not available to drive, Hunter said he would do it. They work well. All right, very good.
So I'll let Margaret know, and who's going to do it. Does anyone else need to be contacted, or who will fill out that form?
I'll take care of filling the form out for y'all. And,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very good. All right, thanks. Okay. Yes.
I might mention too that the deadline for the regional awards for excellence through Central Carolina is also, I believe, due on the 14th. Do we have some things that might be considered?
I think we always have things to celebrate for excellence.
Exactly.
Due the 14th.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. All right. I'll make a note of that, and Peter, you and I can see if there's something we should submit for.
Okay.
Yeah, I wondered about the collaboration that the Chief Lanning has put together with fire departments across the county.
Yeah.
As a possibility.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for reminding us about that. Anything else? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I noticed we have.
Yes, we're getting to that.
Okay.
All right. Very good. So that is everything that'll be on our agenda for next Tuesday. All right. And then for tonight, there is a need to go into executive session per North Carolina Statute 143 318.114, and that would be to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in areas served by the public body. And so with that, is there a motion from the board to go into executive session this evening?
I move to go into executive session.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sledge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Stanley. All in favor? All right. All opposed? And we are now in closed session. Those of you that came this evening, thank you all, and we will hopefully see you on Tuesday.